Wow, Hasbro. Talk about a lump of coal. Couldn't you have waited until the new year? Hey guys, it's Jay. Welcome back to the channel. This one is a really difficult one, guys. Usually when we're talking toys, we're talking about something which is, very enjoyable, which, we should be celebrating in terms of like our nostalgia for the popular culture of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But yesterday, in a very shocking and really, yes, disappointing bit of news, Hasbro has announced that more layoffs are coming just before Christmas. This is really a sad situation, and I want to take a deep dive into this and examine exactly what happened here and why is this happening, especially around this time of year. Hasbro has a lot of explaining to do about this truly saddening news. Let's have a look. As reported on sites like CNN Business, CBS News, Forbes, LinkedIn News, and of course our good friends over at The Toy Book, it appears that some bad news is coming for Hasbro employees this holiday season. Unfortunately, guys, according to toybook.com, Hasbro reveals plans to cut 1,100 employees and close the Providence office. The article goes on to say that the toy titan continues facing off against challenging retail environments by pulling the one lever that no company wants to do. This is a shocking revelation, especially since we've seen so many different announcements for action figures in the adult collectible scene. But apparently their core market seems to have been affected in multiple ways. And yes, guys, this does mean that kids' toys, in particular, as well as their gaming section, have been hit the hardest this year. The article goes on to say that it's a not-so-happy holiday season at Hasbro. In a letter sent to employees at 4:30 p.m. today and viewed by the Toy Book, the company dropped a lump of coal in the stockings of approximately 1,100 staffers whose positions will be eliminated in the coming months. This is absolutely crazy, guys. They couldn't have waited until January to actually make this announcement and at least give some hope to some of these employees. I mean, literally, that's 1,100 people who are going to be losing their jobs in the next few months, meaning that sometime in either early January or probably March, 1,100 staffers probably will be losing their jobs, which is absolutely devastating. The latest workforce reduction in the company behind Transformers, Power Rangers, and My Little Pony follows a previous round of layoffs that resulted in approximately 800 to 900 staffers being cut following the strategic review of the company's business that began last fall. They were referring to the layoffs which happened early February of this year, which was covered by Shark News in a video which he did around the same time. In the video, Shark outlines how one of the casualties during that time was well-known sculptor Corey Cantalupe, who was one of the people laid off during that time. We can see here in a tweet from his wife how dedicated Corey was, and honestly, it was really devastating for him and his family. But we did find out earlier in the year that Corey's actually doing really well. We caught up with him at PowerCon, where he revealed to us he was working with companies like Boss Fight Studios and possibly future collaborations with Spiro Toys, and is happily designing toys once again. This was a happy ending for Corey. However, as we continue with this article, it doesn't seem to be a happy ending for the rest of his former colleagues. In a quote, CEO Chris Cox goes on to say, "I know this news is especially difficult during the holiday season. We value each of our team members. They aren't just employees, they're friends and colleagues. We decided to communicate now so people have time to plan and process the changes. For those employees affected, we are offering comprehensive packages including a job placement support to assist in their transition." On the surface, this seems like the upper management is doing their best to help employees along the way and giving an early indication as to what might happen for next year. But it's small consolation to those who are celebrating this holiday season with their families, knowing full well that next year they may not have a job. This gives added stress during the holidays and things that just are not necessary around this time. A lot of people are looking for holiday cheer, and this news just is devastating for most people, especially when you have young children who rely on you, as well as family members who probably really don't understand what is going on or why it even happened. The article goes on to say that while the U.S. retail industry has enjoyed sales bump in the recent weeks, the jury is still out on the health of the toy department this season. During Q3 earning calls, the major toy maker unanimously cautioned a soft season as the industry continues to come down from historic pandemic-era sales spikes. A lot of people were speculating that the pandemic really did boost sales for pretty much every sector, whether it was the tech sector, the toy sector, the retail sector in general for online sales. But the reality is, when you're stuck at home and you have nothing to do, that really becomes a problem. So people tend to look for things to rejuvenate them in terms of their overall psychological health. And a lot of times people turn back to their childhoods, and that of course means that they're looking to rekindle themselves with some of the fond memories they had when they were kids, which is another reason why the toy boom that happened around that time was so prevalent. In stark contrast, according to Fortune, Barbie doll sales boom for Mattel after namesake movie becomes a global blockbuster. This has helped Mattel weather this downturn in the toy industry and really has given quite the lifeline for the second largest toy company in the world. The title of the largest toy company in the world really does seem to be in jeopardy. After all, it could be that we've seen indicators of this earlier in the year, as figures like G.I. Joe, Star Wars, and Power Rangers have shown up at Ollie's, Marshalls, Big Lots, and other major liquidation warehouses at rock bottom prices. Many people speculate that this is a sign of things to come, but Hasbro isn't taking this lying down. It appears that they are going to start leveraging their catalog in ways that a lot of people haven't expected. Earlier this month, Super 7 announced that they will be introducing O-rings into their catalog. Unfortunately, it does come on the coattails of the most recent crowdfund project by Super 7, which ended last night and unfortunately did not fund. Brian Flynn and the team over at Super 7 have made assurances that the O-ring brand will continue, and more announcements are coming in 2024. McFarlane and Hasbro have also made interesting moves as well. On one of their latest Instagram posts from McFarlane, they've announced McFarlane Toys expands Page Punter brands and signs multi-brand licensing agreement with Hasbro. I'll be covering this in a separate video, but this is good news for Hasbro to continue licensing out to help leverage their intellectual properties, which have such lasting appeal, including Dungeons & Dragons, Power Rangers, Transformers, and of course G.I. Joe. Hasbro is not ending off the year on a particularly high note, and it remains to be seen what 2024 will bring for Hasbro and its licensing partners. This is very disappointing. It is incredibly disappointing, and it comes on the final few weeks of the year. The holiday season, when things are supposed to be jovial, when people are supposed to be celebrating. What a lump of coal, as that article did state on the toybook.com, that Hasbro gave to 1,100 of its employees. I mean, absolutely tone deaf. You know, I understand where Chris Cox, is coming from in terms of saying, oh yeah, we're here to try and alleviate the situation, trying to help employees, find jobs and, giving them the proper packages and everything. That's little consolation, truthfully, for any of the employees who have to go look for another job. Corey Cantalupe, it was one of those recipients of that letter back in February. And luckily for him, he was able to land on his feet and find new work within the toy industry for admittedly smaller companies, but you know what? He's enjoying what he's doing right now, being able to get those types of opportunities. Not everybody has that chance. A lot of these people are going to be looking on the available job market, and I got to tell you firsthand, as I've had a pretty rough year. Honestly, many of my clients, I'm a graphic designer by trade, guys, and honestly, a lot of my clients have not been calling back ever since the pandemic, and it's been a really rough time trying to get back on my feet. And honestly, if I have to be perfectly honest with everybody here, I still haven't. This has been a really tough year, and I have to thank everybody out there for your support, especially those on the Patreon members. You guys really have helped me this year. I don't know exactly what I would have done if it wasn't for your generous contributions. And of course, to all the channel members here on the Mega Retro channel, you guys have really helped me meet ends meet. And if it wasn't for you guys, this year would have been really tough, honestly. And I can only imagine what's going to be happening with these employees who honestly are now stuck looking for the job for the next couple months. It is not a great market out there, as, like it or not, it looks like more and more we are looking at something of a downturn with the economy, and this only seems to be getting worse, not better, over time. Guys, let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts about the 1,100 layoffs that are happening through Hasbro and the softening of the market? Let me know what your thoughts are if Hasbro was doing the right thing, laying these people off early and giving them a lump of coal for Christmas, but giving them also a heads up, letting them know that next year they'll be having to look for a job and possibly, and I do mean possibly, assisting them along the way? Or do you think that this is a terrible idea and Hasbro should have done more to try and save these jobs instead of cutting a workforce of 1,100 people just to make more profits in 2024? I'm not going to ask you to like this episode, guys, because it really is rather depressing, and we really should be celebrating this time of year. Guys, I hope you're having a happy and safe holiday season, and as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. Good journey, everybody. Geek proud.